you've also come up with a series of tips about in the broader sense about diversity. And so, can you share some of those with us?
Sure. And some of these tips are from our book, Thriving in Higher Education. And a lot of the things like Lisbeth shared was so informative. And it's related to some of the tips that we talked about. So it's great that we're all on the same page about the importance of diversity. So, one tip is to make it a priority. People say it's important, as Lisbeth, our guest, said earlier. You want to put some actions behind it. So yes, it may be the priority in your mission statement, your value statement, your what you want to do. It may be something as your goals, but make that the priority. People usually put things that are priority important to them at the top of the list. So it has to show to your staff, your employees, your faculty that this is really important. It probably should not be. If you have a list of goals and you have 10 goals, it probably shouldn't be the last goal at the bottom. Make that the number one goal of your organization, that you will have a diverse, inclusive workforce and workplace. So tip number one is to make that the priority to bring that on board. And when you send that message, you send it to across your college or your organization, and people see that, wow, that's our number one goal here. We're at work, and they see that as important. So that's tip number one. The other tip number two is recruit, recruit, recruit. I hear a lot of people say, well, we don't have a certain population in our community. Um, well, then go out to other communities. Go to different job fairs, journals, really get it out there. Recruit through different media. I know at one college, I believe it was Johns Hopkins University. Well, they do have more money than most people, but they made a priority and they backed it up with money that we're going to put this amount of money into going outside our area and really recruiting. And if you don't have the money, you can write grants. You can get funding. Don't use that as like, well, we don't have the money to do that. Then you find the money. You find it through donations, foundation, or whatever you have to do to really get out there and recruit. I think that's another thing where we had talked about actions speak louder than words is by this is important, this is our priority, and then we're going to recruit and we're going to be diverse in our ways of recruiting. A third thing to do is to allocate resources toward effective diversity initiative. So once again, what are the resources? If you say allocate resources toward effective diversity initiatives, the resources could be in your staff. It doesn't always have to be money. It could be money. It could be where you have to, as I mentioned earlier, write grants or get it through your foundation or fundraising. But the resources could be the people and the staff and say, okay, these are our staff. This is really important. We're going to allocate the training, the staff to do these initiatives, go out in the community, be part of the community. We're going to invite the community on campus, and we're going to allocate these resources towards making it happen. Whatever resources you have, is it a space where someone has wants to have a diversity meeting where you can offer that space at your college for free or something like that instead of charging them? What resources do you have? Is it a building, location, space, people, fund? What resources do you have? And use that toward effective diversity initiatives. So that's really key is looking at the resources you have and how can you make that available toward effective diversity. Tip number four is spread the word. Diversity is good for business. Get actively involved in the community. It could be international outreach. Don't keep that within yourself. Bring awareness. If you believe that diversity is a priority, it's important, you're going to put your resources behind it, let that be known. Put that out there, and your Lisbeth talked about the signage, inviting people to come and do paintings or whatever. Spread the word about this is important to this college or our organization, and we want other people to know. We don't want to keep it hidden that this is our priority. Spread it through your ads, your newspaper, put it all over that we value diversity. we are reaching out to have a more diverse workplace. So spread the word, let people know this is a priority, and put it out there for others to see. And then the last tip that I want to share is become a culture that embraces diversity. So you want to create a culture in which all the employees feel respected and valued and appreciated. So it's one thing if you do all this, it's in your mission statement, your value statement, you putting structures in place. Um, as Elizabeth said, like the plumbing, you putting all that in place, you spreading the word, you got the resources. Now you have the diverse workplace, right? You have people coming to work for you. But once they're there, do they feel valued? Do they feel respected? Do they feel appreciated? If not, you're going to lose those people you work so hard to get. So if they get there and there's no culture where they feel valued, if they feel like when they say something, they're not being heard, they're not being appreciated, and then they may start to think it's because I'm different, and that's why people are not listening to me or I'm not being promoted. So you work so hard to get this diverse population, then what are you doing as far as the culture to help people to feel appreciated that they are part of the value of the business, of the company, the college, whatever it is? What culture do you have? Because if not, it's almost like in higher education, as we know, a lot of people do recruitment. They go out to get students. And then once the students come, if you don't put certain things in place, you're going to lose those students, and that affects your retention rate, right? If you go through all this, you have the people going all over the United States to get students to come to your college. And then once the students show up for the first day, they're all excited. I heard these great things about this college, so now I'm starting this college. And then they get disappointed when they're there, like, okay, I think I'm gonna drop out or stop out or go somewhere else to another college. So, what are you doing to change that culture where people feel valued and respected and appreciated? I think that's really important as well. So these are 5 tips. In our book, we it could have been 100, but then that would be a 3-part series, volumes of books that we will write. There are a lot of other tips and suggestions out there, but these are 5 tips that we wanted to share today with you all.